The following podcast is a Dear Media production.
Our guest today is Megan Roup, who is a celebrity trainer and the founder of Sculpt Society, and someone I've known for a long time. It is so nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
So exciting.
It's so fun to watch you crush it, and I know you train the supermodels like Carly Kloss and Miranda Kerr, and I know how you got your amazing start, but I would love if you could tell our audience how you started and what your method is really all about.
Well, thank you for that. I grew up dancing my entire life. I ended up going to NYU's Tisch dance program. And when I graduated, I was trying to figure out how the heck to support myself in New York City. It's expensive. So while I was auditioning, I worked in fashion, and then I started teaching fitness just on the side, really not intending it to be more than anything to make money so I could pay rent. But I really quickly fell in love with connecting with other women, really, supporting how they were feeling in their own bodies. For me, I had really gone through a lot of body image issues in my early 20s. And so being able to connect with other women to feel more confident through movement was having such a big impact on me. And I really saw longevity within fitness. And so I started to take other classes as well in the city. Boutique fitness was exploding in New York. I was loving reformer Pilates and yoga and other sculpt classes, and just starting to get really excited about fitness, but at the same time feeling like there was not the perfect class out there that I wanted to take. I felt like specifically dance-based fitness was overly complicated. If you weren't a dancer, it was super intimidating. All these classes were so long. Why did it all need to feel so complicated? And so I really wanted to develop a class that really was about the community, was about a warm and welcoming feeling, was about developing a really kick-ass workout, but a kick-ass workout that a lot of people could come into at every level and feel really successful in. So making the sculpting movement attainable, and especially the dance cardio, simplifying it and just sprinkling it in, but not having that be the focus. So for me, the Sculpt Society was really born because I felt like that class was missing for me and was something I had always wanted to take.
Oh, I loved hearing you say that in that way. I think that that is so important for people to hear. And I knew some of that, but not all of it. And I think that it is so lovely that it was born from this really like warm, yummy place, because I do feel like not all fitness classes are like that. Some of them are really intimidating and do feel overly
intimidating.
It's complicated.
And it's something about like being, right, like especially women, right? You come in tight spandex, and it's, even if when you're starting like something new, you're going into a new class, the whole thing just to get there feels intimidating. So wanting people to walk into my class and feel welcomed was so important to me.
Oh, I love that. I love that you explained it that way specifically, because this week especially, we were talking about movement all week. And one of the themes we were talking about is this idea of like a movement moment versus like an hour-long sweat session. And I know that's really your whole thing, that you could like really in 20 minutes really do a lot. And I was wondering, like, say someone had 20 minutes, what would be like the best bang for their buck in terms of like a full body workout?
I mean, I'm a really big proponent. I have this saying called committing to less so that you can show up more. And I think there's this misconception in the fitness industry that you need to do hours of exercise to see any results. And it's really retraining all of us that we can make such impact with small chunks of movement more consistently throughout your week. So I don't even think you need 20 minutes. I think you commit to just 10 minutes a day. But I love full body. I love standing legs. I love abs. I love booty. You can even do some dancing arms. All of this requires just your body, which is really nice too. I think sometimes there's that barrier to entry with like equipment and all of these fancy things. You don't need fancy things. You don't need a lot of time. All you need is really feel good movement to really shift how you're energetically feeling in your body, because I truly believe in 10 minutes you can energetically shift how you're feeling physically, mentally, and the power of that goes into the rest of your day, goes into how you're feeling. So that goes into your relationships, your job, and that truly is the shift and what we're wanting to feel out of fitness, out of movement, and out of your practice.
Wow. I think for people to hear and myself to hear, honestly, 10 minutes is honestly really, it makes me really happy. And I think a lot of anyone who's like a mom or a parent, I do feel like we've already been doing those things where you like, I don't know, you find 10 minutes where you can, but I think for us to hear you say that is really empowering, because we can find 10 minutes here and there, and then you moving your body is moving your body. So
building that consistency and that habit is so important because so many of us feel overwhelmed. Sometimes pressing play on a 20-minute video even feels overwhelming. So if you can consistently show up to 10 minutes every day, that is going to be so much more impactful than one long workout a week, a month, whatever, you can fit in. And so that to me is so much more important, that consistency and that energetic shift you're feeling on a daily basis in your body.
You heard it here first. 10 minutes. Although I'm sure you've said that many times. But no, I think that is so important for us to hear.
Yeah.
You mentioned something when you were answering the first question that I logged in my brain. And I think people might assume that because of what you do and the way you look, that you're someone who has never struggled with body insecurity. And I think that that's an assumption we make about a lot of different people. And it was really interesting to hear you say that. And I was wondering what that evolution was like for you a little bit and where you are now with it.
Yeah, I think, in my early 20s, I really struggled with that. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to pursue in life. And I think, like a lot of us, I used food and movement as a coping mechanism. Instead of feeling the feelings, feeling the anxiety, feeling the stress, I wanted to control in order to numb. And so a lot of us use alcohol, sex, drugs. My drug of choice was food and over-exercising. So I went through stages of yo-yo dieting and binge eating throughout my early 20s. And it wasn't until I really did a lot of internal work. And then the missing puzzle piece for me was finding that movement practice that felt joyful. So healing my relationship with food and how I viewed food. So really shifting from extreme dieting, yo-yo dieting to intuitive eating. And then I really like to call it intuitive movement. So moving my body, not in a way that was about burning calories and killing myself doing hours of cardio every day, but moving my body in a way that felt really, I always say the word empowering, but felt, just really uplifting and joyful and felt like freedom. So the combo of those two things really changed and evolved my approach to movement and food and really is part of my journey to where I am now.
Oh, that is so special to hear you say that. I have a similar journey, and I really did think that if you didn't have an hour to truly grind your body into the ground, then it wasn't a workout.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because I did find in a similar way with food, and it sounds like you did too, just a way where it actually what feels really good ends up being the thing that actually works, which is wild.
Yeah. Well, I think too with food, right? We've grown up in a culture where there's it's good, it's bad, there's all these labels, but once in intuitive eating, it's really not a diet. So when you remove all of those labels and you allow yourself to trust yourself around food and to get playful again with food and see what gives you energy, what makes you feel good, your body relaxes. And the same goes for movement too. When you're stressing your body out, doing hours of workouts a day, it really holds on to so much cortisol, all of those things. And it wasn't until I actually scaled back what I was doing and really allowed myself to be okay with less time working out that my body also relaxed. So I've never felt or I think looked better. I look back in my 20s when I was doing 2-3 hours of workouts a day and on strict diets, and now where I really there's really no restriction in any way. I feel like my body is in such a different place, and obviously my mindset is in a different place.
That's amazing. And I think it's amazing for people to hear, you especially, such an expert saying that. And with that, in kind of thinking about burnout and what it means to be, you do fitness for your job, and all day you're doing probably different types of movement. And I was wondering how you approach rest and recovery.
Oh, that's a great question. It's super important. I think most people don't think that a rest day is required. I'm minimum 1 day a week is required, if not 2. I think for me, sleep is super important. That's part of my recovery. I am really indulgent in sleep, and I'm in bed early. It's so important. I think I also do a massage every 2 weeks. To me, that's part of my recovery. I love TheraBody products like the TheraGun, rolling, using a foam roller, an infrared sauna. All of those things I think are so important. And also just time. Even though a simple walk outside to me is part of a recovery, getting some vitamin D, being in some fresh air. It can be simple. It doesn't need to be overly complicated either.
I love that. Do you have the boots? Like the...
I do. The compression boots, they're so good.
I know. I've been so interested in them.
They're good.
I did see the other day that you posted that you get in bed at 8:30. She gets in bed at 8:30, you guys.
This is okay. So
I'm so impressed. I want to say, I don't think that's uncool. I think that's so cool. I'm just impressed. And tell me.
Well, I think it's the combination of my husband and I in the new year are really trying a new morning routine where we get up before my daughter gets up, which is around, so we get up now around 6:15. She's out of bed at 7. So we have that hour to 45 minutes. For me, I really wanted to recommit to meditation and journaling and just having a morning before I really start with Harlow. And then for my husband, it's just getting in. I'm convinced him that he needs to get in a 10-minute workout for his mind. And so I think both of us have committed to that. And I think in turn, by the end of the day, we're so tired. But I also, again, want to prioritize sleep. I know if I'm getting 8 or 9 hours of sleep, I'm a better human the next day. I also am trying to cut down my screen time. So yes, we're in bed early, but I'm also reading until like 9:15, 9:30.
I mean, that's pretty good.
I know.
That's pretty good.
I know.
I'm impressed. With my clients, I find that motivation sometimes ebbs and flows. And I was wondering how you approach your clients when maybe motivation is in a low point.
Well, I think that's another reason why committing to less so that you can show up more resonates year round, because yes, naturally you're going to ebb and flow, and the motivation everyone's feeling right now in January is going to feel different in March. And so when your commitment can be sustained over long periods of time, that's when a habit starts to build. And that's the thing. Fitness is not just the next 4 weeks. It's for the rest of your life, because I think so strongly of like the mental health benefits of moving your body, right? So I think when you can make it sustainable, and 10, 15, 20 minutes is sustainable. So when I am working with clients who feel unmotivated or they are out of the habit of working out, it's telling them, I'm giving you permission to commit to shorter workouts. Yeah. Ooh, that kind of feels good. I can do that. I can do 10 minutes. And then you start to carve that out. And honestly, 9 times out of 10, if you do a 10-minute quickie on my app, you're going to usually do one more. Usually end up stacking, because in that 10 minutes you feel so good, and that shift in energy feels so good that you want more of it. But I think sometimes it's like a little mental trick that you need to play on yourself.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm so glad, again, when you mentioned the 10 minutes, to me that is the most doable, like in between.
But by the way, I do this on myself on a weekly basis, because I go live on my app 2 to 3 times a week, and then sometimes I'll have a private client. On the days I have to self-motivate too. I'm tired. I've got Harlow, the business. And so every time I'm like, okay, Megan, you're going to throw on. I truly do this. You're going to do one quickie, 1 10-minute. And then I do it, and either I move on or I stack it.
I love that. And what do you find is motivating you?
Feeling good in my body and in my mind, and just feeling less chaotic and calm.
Yeah.
That's motivating to me, because I know for me, movement's my like real meditation, where I feel so different after I've moved my body. And that's so motivating when you have so much going on, and we all have so much going on. Carving out that short amount of time for yourself just goes such a long way. And so when you can see that, that's motivating to me on a day. I'm like, okay, like I know if I'm going to get this in, the rest of my day is going to feel so much better.
Completely. I feel the same. It's mental health as much as it is physical.
Yes.
You're a mama now, and I was wondering if motherhood had changed your feelings about wellness or fitness in any way.
I think I got super passionate about pre and postnatal fitness through my journey.
Yes, you did.
I think there's such a lack of education, and there's a lack of programming out there for women. And so I started to build out my prenatal program. I felt like, there would be like sprinkles of classes. Like if you went on to a certain app, there may be like 4 prenatal classes, and you're like, this is 40 weeks. This is 10 months of my life. Like I need a robust program. So I got really passionate about that and filmed so many workouts in a 40-week program on my app. And I got even more passionate about the pelvic floor.
Yeah.
Because that is something that so many women need to know about, and especially in postpartum, how important that pelvic floor and core recovery time is. And just the lack of education in those early days postpartum, and the lack of support for women surrounding postpartum fitness, your pelvic floor. And so for me, building those programs out has been So amazing.
That's amazing. And I think that I did find a huge lack of that when I had Oliver, and I felt like the ones that I was seeing like made you like do these crazy sit-ups and stuff like that. And I was like, Lord. I waited the proper amount of time, but I feel like it was not like really about connecting back to that area.
No, I mean, obviously I had the same experience. You go in for your 6-week checkup and they're like, okay, you're good to go. You can go back to your workout. You can have sex. And you're like, excuse me, what? And I got so angry because the same thing happened to me. And of course I have the education of pre and postnatal fitness to know that like, no, you should not go back. Yes, you can start movement again, but your approach to fitness at 6 weeks postpartum, no, you should not be doing a boot camp class or crazy sit-ups. Like there is so much more rebuilding and connection that needs to happen before you can go back to those regular classes. And so many, it's such a disservice to women, and I get a little angry about it, but I get fired up about it. But yeah, I mean, just to be able to tell women, okay, here, when you get home from the hospital, here is a 6-week program of how to connect to your breath, your core, and your pelvic floor. Then once you're cleared to work out, then I'll have you do your postpartum program that's going to rebuild slowly your core and your strength, and then you'll feel like you can get back to those regular classes.
You know, as you were saying that, I just remembered something that I feel like I've seen on your Instagram that I think is really empowering. And you talk about, obviously your whole thing is sculpting and feeling really good and really strong and really empowered in your body. But something that you've mentioned a couple times that I thought was really beautiful was you were like, the skin on my stomach is different. Like it is thinner, like fact.
It's so surprising to me that, and it's not surprising to me. It makes me a little sad, is just that this idea that women still think that post-baby, their body is supposed to go back to how it was pre-baby. And if for some reason it's deviated in any way, it's bad. And the reality is, like, you know, of course your skin or your belly button's a little droopy. Like, you know, I wish our society sort of embraced those changes and set women up a little bit more for success post-baby, and this idea that we need to bounce back or that we need to look like we did pre-baby. It's kind of crazy if you think about it.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think like you can get really strong and you can really feel really good and healthy and empowered in your body, just like you promote every day. And at the same time, I think it's so helpful when people are really honest about like, yeah, it's not 100% the same, and like, how could it possibly be?
Yeah. And I think on social, it's important to show like, here's my droopy belly button, my skin, like girl, you are not alone.
Yes.
You know?
How could it be exactly the same?
No.
I know your method is about sculpting, and that's like using light weights and your body weight, which you can do a lot with. Do you think that there's a place for heavy weights? Like, do we need heavy weights, or can you achieve it all with?
You know, I think the workout that's going to work for you is the one that you're going to stick to. My friend Charlie says that all the time, and I think that's so true. Because yes, if heavy weights work for you and you enjoy it and it's something you're going to consistently show up for, amazing. There's so much great research around that for women. Do I think you can build strength from my type of sculpt workouts? Absolutely. So, you know, I do think sometimes there's a lot of loud voices in the fitness industry. So I don't necessarily think you have to do only heavy weights in order to build muscle. I do believe you can do that and build strength within my type of low impact sculpt workouts.
I love the way you answered that, because I think that's exactly right. And it's the same thing with food. It's like there's tons of things on paper that really work with the science, and at the same time, like everyone's different and it has to work for you.
Yeah.
But I love your method, and I've been doing it, and it's like really, it changes your body. Like especially to me, the arms. It's
the arms are fun.
The arms are really fun. Do you have like a snack of choice at all? Like a post-workout snack of choice?
Oh gosh, I'm not one that's like, okay, it's been 30 minutes, I have to get this protein in. No, that's not how I approach it. It's like, am I hungry? I'm obsessed with Good Culture cottage cheese.
Me too.
It is so effing good.
Me too.
Like that and blueberries.
Yes.
Like mixed in.
It has so much protein also. Like in a little thing, there's
Yeah.
like 18 grams of protein.
Is there? I don't even know.
Oh,
but I think
no,
it's like a delicious
Right.
snack.
I love that you're just, by the way, that is so good instincts. And that is so the vibe of just like, I eat this because it tastes good. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But it does happen to have
But
so
I like
much protein.
the ingredients are like, minimal.
So clean.
I love like raw almond butter on either a piece of fruit or honestly like on Ezekiel bread with some preserves. I eat a lot of eggs. I love scrambled eggs, goat cheese, avocado. I'm trying to think what other things. I love chips as a snack.
I love that.
I love a chip.
I think it's nice for people to hear you say that.
Beanfields has a really great chip. Is it Siete?
Yeah, Siete. I think, yeah.
Yeah, I love chips.
I love hearing you say that. I think that's really nice. I think the people are going to be like, that's dope. What is next for you?
I think really we just launched a new app. So that app experience has been such a labor of love. And so really, I think always our intention is to give back to our community, making sure this is the best experience for our community, making sure we're listening to our community, building programs for them. And I think it's the idea of hopefully expanding and nurturing who's currently with us. And we did a lot in 2022. So I think 2023 is just like, let's expand, but also let's like just enjoy what is.
I love that. And we have a code that we're going to put in that we're going to put in the episode description.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Megan, thank you so much for being here. This was so nice.
This was so fun. Thank you.